Amy.
Welcome to the show. Tonight, it ain't easy being Wheezy. Ain't that right?
Yep, that's right. Right here.
Yep. All right, so first off, we got some mail call.
Mail call.
If you're not following Fisher's Woodshop, hide your face.
Oh, jeez.
If you're not following Fisher's,
I always
hide
feel
your face,
so
hide your
offended
face.
when you say that. I feel so offended.
Fisher's Woodshop on YouTube. Go check him out. He's got some really cool stuff. He's got like a
Wait,
small.
you don't hide your face.
Yeah, dude. This blocks it.
Okay.
He sent me one of his push sticks. Hide your face.
Jeez.
Check that out. It's beautiful. And then on this side, he put my logo on there. That's actually engraved in there. So that is sweet. Check it out. Stay hidden. Got two more.
Seriously?
Yeah. Michael Risotto sent us a set of pins. Those are really cool too. Looks like maple and.
Do you see the face I'm making on my shirt right now at you?
You said it's a leopard wood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then.
Mm-hmm.
What are you making a face at me for? Well, that's kind of rude.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You can't even open a sheet of paper.
Dallas Dog Woodworking. Dallas, he said Dallas and I, Dallas is the dog, saw these at their local Sam's Club, and Dallas insisted we get them for us because they watch us. Outlaw snacks.
And they're really good.
They are good.
They taste really good.
No, miss. Crumbs fell everywhere.
Did you spill them?
Well, a few crumbs.
Oh my god!
Thank you guys so much.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
You're
everywhere.
cleaning that.
Thank
Seriously?
you guys so much for the gifts.
How did you do that? Wait, stop. Just let me clean it later. Seriously? Babe, why'd you scoot it to the edge?
There's a crumb on the edge.
Why did you scoot it to the edge? You're going to get it on the floor now.
What?
Why did you do that? Why would you move it to the edge?
I thought about eating them.
Don't move it to the edge. This is why I find crumbs on the floor.
Sawdust Spotlight is... I picked this one, Mo's on a trip. This is from Tony Hutchins. He said his 12-year-old daughter brings him the plans for the desk that she wants. And so I'm putting him on notice. If you know Tony in the community, go let him know that he got Sawdust Spotlight. And now he has to build this desk so that we can all see it. Yes, he does. That's pretty cool.
Why did the live on Facebook end?
I don't know. You tell me.
That's weird. The live video has ended. It will be available soon.
Well, that's sorry.
That's weird.
I hate that for Facebook.
Yeah, it says the live on Facebook has ended.
Can you refresh?
We will try it.
Go to the page and see if it's there. Maybe there. So
to
tonight we're going to talk about it ain't easy being Wheezy. And what that means is we was actually in a store a few weeks ago.
We're going to give them a shout out there too because we were in Sissy's.
Yeah, Sissy's Log Cabin.
It's a jewelry store in Little Rock.
And the manager there, we got talking to him. And I think he saw
my inhaler.
He saw your inhaler.
He thought it was his. He was like, did I leave my inhaler sitting up here?
And then he said, it ain't easy being Wheezy. And I thought that was awesome. So shout out to Sissy's Log Cabin. They
it's not refreshing.
Anyway, I started thinking about that, and it kind of occurred to me like she's going to work every day, teaching school, standing up in front of this class, talking, walking, moving around, and having trouble with her asthma. But she still does it because she loves it. And I was like, So I start thinking about pushing through if you can. I mean, there's physical disabilities that you can't, obviously, but there's some that you can work with.
It's showing on here. It's just on my iPad.
That had me thinking, like, before I become a state trooper, a lot of people may or may not know, but I was an extreme introvert. I didn't talk to anybody. It was a year before I talked to her parents more than just a few sentences and asking for her hand in marriage. Like I didn't speak to people. I was extremely closed off. And even early on in the YouTube, I started a different channel that I'd never showed my face, never spoke. And then after it went on for a while, I started speaking, but I wouldn't show my face. When this channel started, the first video I don't show my face in. And the next video I started showing my face, but you can see how closed off I was, even up until about a couple of years ago, year and a half ago. So point and moral of the story is you put yourself in uncomfortable positions to grow yourself, right? So like she's putting herself in an uncomfortable position every day because she believes in what she's doing and believes she's on a mission to help kids learn
Well,
and be a light for them.
and to explain a little bit on that, this is the first year that I've had to do this because I've had asthma my whole life, but I've been off of an inhaler for over 20 years. As a child, I had inhalers. But back, you guys will probably remember back when I got really sick, back around the beginning of June, when I had a hard time. I even had to leave the live one night and let Mo come and step in for me because I was having a hard time, and I was, we went through a lot of illness. We were both really sick. He had COVID, and then I took a lot of home COVID tests, which were showing negative, but I ended up, we think that I actually did end up having COVID, and so I actually ended up going to the doctor a couple weeks ago before school started and got some tests done, and it actually turns out that he thinks that I actually did have COVID, but they said that a lot of those home tests, they just showed negative, even when you actually did have COVID, but a lot of the home tests show negative anyway. And I got put back on inhalers for the first time in over 20 years. And now I'm on a steroid inhaler plus a rescue inhaler. And so I'm kind of back in the same boat that I used to be in, but I haven't been like this in over 20 years. So it's the first time that I've had to be on an inhaler since I've been a teacher. And so I was really nervous about going back to school this year, because I can't go very long. I can't talk for very long before I get winded. And I can't be up and moving around very long before I'm winded. And so I was really worried about how that was going to affect me being in front of my students. And so I talked to my principal about that before school started. And she encouraged me actually. She told me, she said, talk to all of your students about it. And so on the first day of school, which was yesterday, I go through all of my class procedures and all of that stuff with all of my students. And I had on one of the slides that I had that I go over my classroom procedures and all that stuff. On one slide that popped through, it said, "It ain't easy being wheezy." And I talked to my students about what that meant. I just explained to them that they may see me get winded and they may see me use an inhaler and what that may mean. And so I think, that's part of what we all go through. We have our challenges, and I think that sometimes others may see us, they may witness those challenges, and it's okay to let others know that we have those challenges, and it's okay to let others see us with those challenges. We just have to own up to them sometimes.
Yep.
And I think that was a hard thing for me. In the beginning yesterday, it felt it was really hard for me in the beginning to tell all of my students that, because it almost made me feel weak to tell them that. But then I had students say, "I know what an inhaler is. I have asthma too. I have an inhaler too." And I think that it's more of a strength sometimes. But I don't know. It's hard feeling like, because I can't leave. I literally can't move from one end of the house to the other without, I'm supposed to keep that inhaler on me at all times. And I'm getting better at it for the most part. Yep.
You're on some new medicines helping out.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You just gotta sometimes just put yourself out there, and that's what I was talking about. Before, when I went to troop school, I was, like I said, I was an extreme introvert before going to troop school.
Disconnected.
Is that the only one?
So I'm not seeing any chat, by the way.
But when I went to troop school, they force you into very uncomfortable positions, and I was no longer an introvert when I come out of there. I was still like in a bubble, kind of, but when as a state trooper on the highway by yourself, you're put into multiple positions where you have to talk to people. You have to learn how to communicate, and that's one of the things I never was very good at it. And so I think that really broke me out of my shell more than anything. Was going through all of that police career. But hey, if I wasn't willing to do that, I don't think I'd be sitting here today if I hadn't just forced myself to be in uncomfortable positions. I think that's where we grow. Daniel Gagaletti says, "How come you're not making videos anymore showing you making things?" Well, hey, I am about 1 or 2 a month, but on the second part of that question is people aren't watching them. So I'm a YouTuber full time, so if people watch tool videos, I'll make tool videos. If they watch project videos, on the majority. then I have to skew the videos towards what people are watching. And on this channel, more people watch tool videos than they do anything else. So that's kind of, or shopping secrets and stuff like that.
David, Mo is doing good. She's at a football game tonight. She's the high school cheer coach. She's in a boot now, so she's off the crutches, but in a boot, and she's a little bit more mobile, so she's moving better. I think she's doing good. She's still hurting, but she's moving more, so she's feeling better. Just the bruising's better. The foot, I think, is on its way back to normal. So she's doing good.
Scott Nicely says, I have a really bad back, 3 surgeries later. Sorry, man, still not right. I do what I can and build things when I'm able. I have to take a lot of breaks, and there's nothing wrong with that. Back trouble is something that is, you use your back for everything. So if you're having back trouble, it's really bad for you.
Hey, Anthony Hutchinson says, hey, cool, that's me in the spotlight. Thanks, Matt and Amy.
You got to build that desk now. You got to build the desk.
I don't think have we ever had that happen before?
I don't know. Maybe once. Somebody else.
I don't know. I'm trying to.
PJ Barker says, I love project videos. I like making them. I like building
That's
things.
so cool.
And I like making videos of building things. One thing about building like the miter stand I've talked about before, I built that. It took me about 4 days to build it, and then it took me another 5 or 6 days to edit it. So it's also a lot more time consuming. My
Thank
editor
you, Stephen.
of the last year that I've been working with this week sent me an email and said, I'm out, dropped the mic, and just left me hanging without any notice or anything. So he delivered the last video and was like, I'm done. So I got a couple of people I'm going to send some footage to try to help see if I can get another editor going. But
yeah, God is good. Woodworks. She stumbled down our front steps. We have 3 front steps, like little short steps, and she was taking her dog out while we were in Nashville. We were getting ready to fly home and got a phone call that she had stumbled down them and rolled her ankle. She had to go to the emergency room. Thank goodness both of her brothers, our 2 boys, were here. They had to carry her to the vehicle, and the oldest one drove her to the emergency room.
Yep.
And her ankle swelled up and turned purple and green, and like literally you couldn't even see bones in her ankle bone anymore. And she was on crutches, and now she's in a boot. She's doing better though.
Yep. Congrats, Steve Miller. He said he's selling his first J-Base chairs and table set. He's kind of excited about it. That's the first thing I sold, so that's awesome. Canadian, or who's that?
What?
There's Travis Murray says, how do you overcome frustration while working? Man, I get frustrated pretty easy when things aren't working right. So I don't know, just persevere through, because once I get in that mental state, I'm like, everything starts just snowballing and nothing works because all you're doing is being frustrated. So
and so for him, he tends to let things build up for him.
What?
Yeah. So for him, his frustrations kind of build because he starts to go quieter. The more he gets frustrated, the quieter he gets, because he does so much around here when it comes to the business side of everything. And I felt really bad because at the same time that his editor quit, it was time for school to start back. And so I was going back to work too. And I knew that meant that he was going to have my part of what I was doing here. And then the editor quit. And so I felt really bad because that meant everything was going right back onto his shoulders. And so for him, that means that he's going to start getting everything piled back on top of his shoulders. And I know what that means for him. So it's really easy for all of that frustration to start kind of compounding on top of you. I think I've handled
it pretty well, though.
You have so far, but
so far, she said.
Yeah, but I know what that means. I know that means that the stress of everything starts to kind of compound on top of you. But I think that I told him something before, and for us, like he told me one time he feels like the weight of the world is on his shoulders. And so what I try to tell him in those moments is the weight of the world is not on his shoulders. The weight of the world is on God's shoulders.
Preach, sister.
And so for him, I want him to always remember that. I don't ever want him to forget that. The weight of the world is on God's shoulders. And so we just have to try to remember that. And I'm really bad about that too. And right now with school starting back, I'm having a hard time remembering that too, because I'm teaching a new class right now that means the world to me, and I have some amazing kids this year, and I'm trying really hard to remember that too. But I think that for us and for me, that's the one thing I want to keep in mind is the weight of the world is not on our shoulders. And so those frustrations, that's what we have to remember. We can only do one thing at a time. We cannot do everything.
Yep.
And so when all of those frustrations compound, if we just completely get frustrated, how good are we going to be? How much can we get done if we just let ourselves get completely frustrated?
Yeah, it just starts inhibiting the work.
It does.
Woodworking, anything you're doing when you start getting frustrated, it just, because when you're frustrated, you're not thinking straight and you're messing up more, and then it just causes you more work and more frustration. A lot of times it's better just to go ahead and take a break, if you're frustrated in that moment. So long answer short.
Rod Romeo says, "Hey Matt, can you help me with a name? I want it Redneck Woodworking, but it's taken."
Something that's important to you. That's what we did. 7/31 is our anniversary and the day we met. So
if Romeo is part of your name, I would play off of that if I could, because Romeo is like, that's an awesome part. I mean, if it's not already taken. What about Redneck Romeo? Or
that's awesome.
The Redneck Romeo.
Awesome.
The Redneck Romeo. I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah, that's all. That's a good one. That's a
like,
good one. Is that taken?
Do you know how many people would love that? The Redneck Romeo?
That's hilarious.
I mean, come on.
That's good. That's good.
Is that taken? Are you checking it?
Yeah.
The Redneck Romeo. Let him do a search on that real quick and see if that one's taken. Look, people are loving it. The Redneck Romeo. Is that taken?
It's spelled wrong. It's got to be taken. It's too good not to be taken.
Please tell me it's available.
Yeah, it's taken.
It's taken?
Yeah. The domain is, but...
The domain is, that doesn't mean that you can't use it, though.
Right.
The website is taken.
Yeah, you can't even buy it. So, but, I mean, yeah, something similar
People
to that.
are loving it,
yeah,
though.
that's a good one. That's a good one. I like
People
it.
in the chat love it.
I would go, Redneck Romeo Woodworking or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be taken.
Redneck, yeah.
Or Woodworks, whatever.
Yeah, you could put that at the end of it.
I think that'd be a good one. There you go. H2 says RR Woodworks. If those are taken, R&R Woodworks. A lot of those are good. So any of those.
Yeah, you could shorten it for your website domain, and then you can use that. You could do business as Redneck Romeo.
Yeah, we got a DBA.
Somebody said, "Is your wife's name Juliet?" You could always buy a different domain that's a spinoff of it,
Yeah.
and then you could do business as the Redneck Romeo.
Yeah. Ken says,
somebody said they may think it's a romance channel.
Now, add Woodworks to it. How do
That's
I compete
funny.
with the other woodworkers in my area? That's 5 maker venues in the same area in the same weekend. I would like to supplement my. So you're asking about competition. You got to separate yourself either by design. Don't try to. If you try to take the race and go to the bottom of the barrel, like you're racing to the bottom of the pricing, and then you're just going to race to the bottom. Nobody's going to make money. I wouldn't compete with them on price. You got to separate yourself in a design or build something that they're not building. So you have to kind of just be unique somehow. Now, what that means in your area is, it just depends. It may be that nobody else is doing ingrain cutting boards, or nobody else is doing whatever, farmhouse furniture or whatever's popular in your area. But that's what I would do.
Gordon Madden said, "God bless me with a wonderful wife to encourage and help me with the business. Mrs. 731 and Mrs. 315 are a special breed."
That's awesome.
Thank you, Gordon Madden. Mr. Lloyd Wagner in the house said, "I have battled extreme social anxiety. Believe it or not, my friend Mighty Matt helped me through a lot, watching him early on, starting to come out of his shell and being upfront about his anxiety, and it moved on me. And encouraging me and letting me know that it was okay and that I would be okay. I'm better than ever, and I've been having a continual support system is very important. Always surround yourself with positive people who lift you up."
And
See,
tell you
that's
something too.
that's
Ronnie
part
can
of it.
sing.
Yeah, he can.
He can sing, y'all.
Yep, he can sing. And that's what's important. having that support system is a huge thing, and that's what's so wonderful about our community. And if you're not part of that community, I would encourage you to become part of it. Even if you don't like Facebook, that's the thing. Some people don't want to become part of Facebook because Facebook can be such a negative thing. Join Facebook and become part of the community, and don't get on the other part of Facebook. Don't do a personal Facebook. Don't join the personal space. Just get on there and become part of our community if you want to do the woodworking side, because the negative stuff's not allowed on there. It is a completely positive, encouraging
we have
place.
some awesome
Our
moderators
are amazing.
They catch stuff pretty quick, and if they don't, it gets reported
fast,
pretty quick.
Man, they're really good, and it is all about uplifting each other and encouraging. And there are people out there willing to give advice and help each other. I mean, they answer questions fast. Yeah. There's always somebody out there offering help. I posted in there
yesterday asking about wrench organization stuff, and like 30-something comments pretty quick. So
I mean, they are willing to offer up help so quick. Oh crap! Our son just he's the one here watching the dog.
He can just leave them in there.
Okay, let me tell him he's leaving. Let me tell him to leave the dogs in there. But it's a wonderful place for you to get advice. It's a wonderful place for you to be encouraged if you're down. And I think as woodworkers, sometimes, whether you're somebody just starting out, or you're somebody who's been doing it for a long time and you've hit a slump, or you're somebody who's new to an area, and maybe you're looking for a place to sell, or you're looking for ideas, or I mean, it doesn't matter what stage you're in when it comes to it.
Yeah, there's some people that are just starting out, and there's people extremely advanced in there, and everywhere in between. So.
Yeah, and so it's a really, really good place to be. So I would encourage you to join that, because it really is a nice place to be.
Good stuff. Had a lot of positive comments. People are talking about they're a part of it, and it's awesome. Very positive and polite and respectful. That's the main rule of the community, is that you have to be nice, and we don't put up with any bickering.
Don Patterson wants to know what site you're using to see if the domain is taken.
Just hover.com.
Hover.com. Damon Barber said, "What I missed, Damon?
You missed everything.
You missed it all, man. You missed the monkey poo coffee and everything."
Crafty or Gnarly Creation says, do you use a lot of resin epoxy? I've done a couple of projects and haven't found an epoxy that's worked for me, and I haven't had trouble with bubbles, or that I haven't had trouble. So yeah, I've used it multiple times now. I use Old Loggins Sawmill. They have an epoxy line, and if you go back on the channel just a couple of months ago, I made an epoxy resin board, and there's links to their stuff in there. But the deep pour epoxy, if you use deep pour epoxy, it takes multiple days to cure. We're talking like 4 or 5 days, but all the bubbles will come out because it's so thin. All that stuff just comes straight to the top. That's why they use deep pour in a lot of your river tables that you see on YouTube. They'll pour that almost looks like water, and because it's so thin, all those bubbles work their way out. Now, where you'll find yourself getting bubbles if you're using something like art resin or some other quick setting epoxy. That's where you have to really worry about those bubbles and have a heat torch and really babysit it. Deep pour it, forget about it. As long as your forms don't leak, you're good.
Low Fat Logan says, I have POTS, which makes me prone to passing out. Learning to overcome or work with your personal limits is a challenging task, but challenging isn't impossible.
That's right.
It's so crazy that I had a really hard day Friday. Because we had an issue. Our son he's got allergies, and I'll share a part of it with you. He went and got allergy tested, and this is something, when we were young, we had our kids young. And when we were young and broke, and we were young and dumb to a certain degree. We were young and scared more than anything. And when our kids were little, or when our youngest son was little, and they talked about allergy testing, they talked about poking his back to or sticking his back to get him allergy tested, and that scared the mess out of me.
Hmm.
And all I could imagine was them sticking his little back with all these little pins, and it terrified the mess out of me. Like, I was like, no, there's no way you're poking my little baby, because he had so many problems as a child. He couldn't breathe. He was allergic to everything.
He had a bad.
He was allergic to the sun, to sand, to grass,
To living.
to certain foods,
Everything.
to certain medicines, to everything. And as he grew, we figured out more and more and more that he was allergic to. And he's 20 years old, and you know, y'all watched the video. He's autistic, and there's all kinds of things and issues and stuff. And so allergy testing with an autistic person did not go well, and it's the worst day I think I've ever had with him. And Matt wasn't able to go. He was working, and it literally was a challenge, to say the least. It went really, really, really bad. And the doctor come in, and he said, man, you're really allergic to everything. The allergy testing did not go well, and I did not. If it could go bad, it went bad. But we found out that he was so allergic to everything that if he gets on allergy shots, he's going to have to use an EpiPen with it, because he's so allergic to everything that he has to actually take the shot and stay indoors for a certain amount of time, because if he gets the injection and walks outside too soon, he could have an overload of whatever it is, because he's allergic to everything outside, and it could actually be fatal. And he come to us a few days. He took some time to think about it, and he come to us last night, and he said, I want to be able to eventually get rid of these allergies, so I want to go ahead and get on the allergy shots. And I think that's overcoming challenges. You know, he took some time to think about it. He understands the risk. And I think that's what you guys are trying to do. You're taking a risk.
Everybody has challenges. It just depends on what it is. You know, it may be physical, it may be mental, maybe a mix of both. I think maybe financial. We all have. Everybody on Earth has challenges. It's just the way it is. It doesn't matter where you're at as far as financially. It doesn't matter where you're at skill level wise, mentally, physically. Everybody has certain challenges that's going to be in front of you at some point in your life, and they may come and go. You know, worse or better. But the key is just to press on.
They said that his were some of the most extreme they had ever seen. They said, which I know it, you know, y'all are saying it's protocol. They did tell me it was protocol. They just said his were extremely bad. His were, they said if there's ever a poster kid for allergy shots, you would be it. Yep. Like, they said his were some of the worst for some of the stuff he was allergic to. Anything that pollinates, they said yours is some of the worst we have ever seen in our life. His back lit on fire. It was awful. And it was just, it was bad.
Hertz Woodwork says, how often do you have to blow off the sawdust off the tool board behind the Capex? How's it set up working? Very
Thank you,
seldom.
Stephanie.
Like maybe once every month or so. I've only done it once since I put it up. It really doesn't collect on there. As how do I like it? I love it. I think it's one of the best additions I've made to the shop. I like the look of it. I like how organized everything is on that wall. It is all around solid. Nothing moves off there when it's not supposed to. I like how those pins lock in. If you haven't seen the OmniWall video, you can just search 731 OmniWall and you'll find it. It's just good stuff. It's good wall organization. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. He says, my challenge to everyone after a quintuple bypass and having to put my business on hold, please search for one motivation a day. After 7 months, I'm grateful to get back to work.
That's awesome. Hey, that's good advice there.
Yep.
Just one motivation a day. One a day. 1 foot in front of the other, as they say.
That's right. 1 foot in front of the other. And that's what I'm trying to say about it, is that everyone has so many challenges that they're trying to get through, and everybody's challenges are different.
Yeah, they are. Everybody just. David Kermit says, I'm new to woodworking. I was wondering if you might be able to do a project video with a table saw and a miter saw work table. I don't have any plans for that because it's not set up for my shop. So my shop, I don't have a integrated table saw table set up for my shop. Now, before I got the Delta saw, I was actually considering getting a job site saw and building it into a table. But for now, there's no plans for that.
What's a CF charity? Somebody wanted to know if it's a CF charity. This isn't a charity stream at all, but I don't know. I don't know what a CF charity is, but it's not a charity stream at all. So
yeah, we're just talking about challenges.
Oh yeah, Alex, it's not a charity stream, but I don't know what CF stands for.
Jason Priestler in the house.
Jason, are you in the house?
Allergic to everything. Once he started his shots, it was night and day after years of not being able to smell or breathe. Now
oh, goodness. Well, see, he took allergy shots as a child, and they worked for him. And they told our son that after about 5 years, he should be, like, all the way. Oh, cystic fibrosis.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had to have those allergy shots every week for as long as I can remember, like, every week, going to the doctor, get a shot. And after however long, I was fine. I was just like him. I was allergic to everything. But after all those shots, I'm allergic to very few things now.
I don't think
cilantro tears me up.
Our poor son, his are so extreme. Like he can't take the garbage out without sneezing for about 10 minutes when he comes back in. And so I feel kind of bad, but he tells me all the time, he's like, you shouldn't make me have to go outside and take the dog out or to take the garbage out or to do anything. And I'm like, you're still going to do chores in the house. I mean, you take allergy medicine, you're going to do some chores. He doesn't have to do as much as the other kids, but he still has to do chores.
Alex Hilliard says it ain't easy being Wheezy is a cystic fibrosis saying. I
didn't know that. Oh, our dogs are screaming because they got left in the back. They're screaming. Hey.
Missed it.
Oh, we missed it.
You missed
missed it. You know what time it's not?
Power tip time.
Power tip time.
The power tip is.
Do you hear the
Don't shut your dogs in the room now.
Can y'all hear those?
The power tip is it's okay if you're struggling through something. It's going to get better at some point. You know, a lot of us have those struggles, whether it be, like I said before, we all have those challenges that we're working through. Daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, whatever it is, just keep working on it. I like what Mr. Clark said. One motivation thing a day, just focus on that, stay motivated, and everything will work out.
They're screaming. Yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear them, but they are screaming.
John McCracken says, how did I get into woodworking full time? He wants to support his family. I'm not a full-time woodworker. I'm a full-time YouTuber, and there's a giant difference.
There is a big difference there.
But I was making pretty good money part-time woodworking before the channel took off. And so I had to make a decision on whether I wanted to continue down the woodworking John, or if I wanted to pursue YouTube. And I made the decision to pursue YouTube. So there's that.
Says PA Hunter says, I have to ask, at what point did you create a business LLC? Pretty much, we did that fairly quick, didn't we?
We got it. We was in business a few years before we actually got an LLC. We just worked as a sole proprietor. No, we worked sole proprietor. We worked as a sole proprietor. In other words, just working. Basically, your any profit you make in your business, it goes on your personal taxes for the most part. I'm not legal advice. I'm not financial advice. Blah, blah, blah. But it was fairly late in the game. Maybe a year or 2 years ago, probably. We formed an LLC. So
we wish we had done it sooner, though.
Yeah, and just when you do that, make sure you have your own separate bank accounts. Keep everything separate.
Yeah, go to an accountant.
Get you an accountant.
Yeah, talk to an accountant. Michelle Koscheller, Georgia Peach says it's okay when you struggle your way. Focus on one motivation a day to get you through.
Yep.
That's right. It's absolutely right. And I don't know how to say your name. Hold on. I'm going to try to get it. Guayabito? Guayabito? I don't know how you say that. Just wanted to say that I just finished you're making a desk based on the one you built for your wife's classroom. It came out awesome, but it took me months.
That's awesome.
I love that desk.
Yep, you still use it every day.
Yep, I love it. I love that desk.
Canadian Woodville says, do you find time YouTube to
You can't read. Let me help you out there.
Full-time YouTube to require more or less effort than full-time woodworking? Less physical effort, more time and mental effort. So, like I don't know. I probably don't edit as fast as I could or should or whatever. and I haven't found someone to totally offload all the editing. Once I'm able to offload all editing or the majority of the editing, I'll have a lot more free time, I would think, to pursue other things or to make things or whatever. Right now, editing is taken up with one editor. When I had an editor helping me, he would do one a week, I would do one a week. And so I would have 2 or 3 days where I could kind of play around, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's gone, it's like 6.5 days a week editing.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half I'm making a video. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I'm not going to, anybody that wants to do YouTube full time, it is a ton of work to constantly put out videos because in all actuality, YouTube doesn't reward your old videos. I have one, the Woodcraft video, for instance. That was one of our best performing videos out of the gate. It took off, and I thought this is going to be a 1 million view video. I was like, it's gone. Look at it go. And then it went and hit the brakes. It got to like 140,000 and stopped. And basically, YouTube doesn't reward older content as much as new content. At least on my channel. Some others may, but it's just it's challenging to continually put out new content. Yeah.
Alex Hilliard says, just mounted up my new lumber rack and it's motivated me to clean out the whole shop now.
Yeah.
Little motivations lead to bigger motivations.
That's true.
Start small.
Very true.
That's right.
That's very true. One of the motivation or one of the New Year's resolutions I had coming into 2022 was to clean the shop up and make it look better, to be more organized,
He's been doing that.
Be more professional looking, just get it nicer. Yeah, I've got the canvas, but I didn't have the right painting on it, So I started out with the miter stand and the Omni wall, and this last week I got in a Husky toolbox hutch thing, and I removed that old shelf. You'll see it in the video Thursday. The background, you'll see the background, and that just totally changed the way that looked. Lumber storage, I think just getting the ball rolling, doing the organization on one side of the shop, I was like, I got to get it all done now.
Yep.
But it's this process. I still got a couple things I want to do. I think we better go rescue it.
It's so bad. John McCracken says, are you guys Christians? Sometimes I get the feeling that you are. With a winky face.
Yeah.
Yep, we are. All right. Our dogs are yelling and screaming. Our time is up. But, and Damon Barber says, it looks great, talking about your shop.
Thank you. Yeah, the members only got if you're a channel member, you can go watch the video where I posted and showed the whole setup and how it's looking right now and all that. So,
thank you, Mr. Clark. He says our work is to be worked, to be proud of, as if we're working for Jesus himself. Right. We keep that in mind too, Mr. Clark. We tell ourselves that a lot, and sometimes I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I have to tell myself that because on the days that it feels rough, because there are days that it feels rough. There are days that you feel beat down, and those are the days that you have to motivate yourself the most. Mm-hmm. And those are the days I have to tell myself that. I have to remind myself I'm still on the worst of the worst of the worst day. I am still working for the same person today that I am working for on the days that feel the best.
Yep, that's right.
You're absolutely right. And it's hard to remember that sometimes.
That's right.
Yep. Damon, I know. I didn't write the states tonight.
Boo.
I know. But somebody, and see, other people are asking too. But somebody told me not to do the state call out. They said that it takes up too much time.
Who's somebody?
You saw it. Somebody said that it.
Don't put that evil on me. I didn't see that.
You did too. We had somebody send us a message and said that I don't need to do the state call out if we're going to do a shortened show because Anthony said states, please. Okay, well, I see one. We had.
Flying,
and I haven't seen him on here tonight, but we need to give a happy birthday shout out to one of our favorite people ever, Brother Rib. Woohoo! All right, we'll do this. We'll do the states really quick if you drop them in the chat real quick. All right, we have Indiana, Canada, Arkansas, North Carolina, Texas, Florida, Minnesota. Y'all better drop them in there if you want them. Las Vegas, Virginia, New York, Minnesota, Indiana. Come on, Mississippi. We got Mississippi. Yep. And I know we had Georgia because we had our Georgia Peach. Virginia, Oregon, California, and Missouri. How you got 2 in there? Alabama,
Where they're standing
Michigan,
on the state line.
Canada again, Rhode Island, Illinois, Virginia, California, I'm saying them more, Florida, Missouri, South Carolina, Virginia, Louisiana, Alabama, British Columbia, Michigan, New York, Florida, Wisconsin, Oregon, Illinois, Delaware, Utah, Idaho, New York, Wisconsin. We're just saying the
Arkansas.
same states. Kentucky, Washington, Vermont, Ohio.
Tennessee.
Y'all so silly. Texas, Tennessee, Idaho, Tennessee, Louisiana, South Rhode Island. Y'all are
South
just,
Rhode Island.
y'all, come on now. All right.
Like, seriously, hold on. Hold
What?
on.
What?
Mr. John McCracken. He said South Rhode Island. Rhode Island is the smallest state in the Union, right? Do y'all for real say I'm from South or North Rhode Island? I'm being genuinely serious.
It's so tiny.
Well, I mean, they say it's small. I've never driven
Cowboys
across it. It may
country.
take 5 hours
Hey.
to drive across it. I'm not sure.
Ireland. What? Really?
That's awesome.
Archangel from Ireland. And then they said California again. See, it's fun. In Heaven by Grace.
Pluto.
Arizona, Mars, California, Texas. Y'all hit the like button. Tennessee, Pluto. And John McCracken from LOL. Massachusetts. Okay. And John McCracken said, just wanted to get her to say it out loud, so he did. State of confusion.
I know you're on a delay over there, but I ended the show like 10 seconds ago.
You did not. I see it on there. Y'all have a good week.
Y'all have a good night.
Bye.